Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to talk on something which is related with your finance specialization, and that is about financial systems, the markets, and services. So we are going to start with chapter 1 today. Now, what this chapter is all about is basically with the two terminologies written on your screen. You could see that these are basically basically two terminologies, that is financial system and financial markets. Now let us understand what I'm exactly going to cover in this particular chapter. So this chapter coverage basically includes of three aspects. Firstly, it is about understanding the financial system. Secondly is about understanding the structure of financial system, what are its components, and basically the introduction to financial institutions, what they do, what is banking and non-banking institutions. And the third aspect of this chapter would be covering, or we would be covering the financial markets, that is money market as well as the capital market. Now moving on, let's understand first what is a financial system. Now over here you could see a meaning of financial system. Basically there are two parties, if I say it that way. One are the lenders and another party is the borrowers. Okay, so when there is something which is given by the lenders to the borrowers, there is some exchange, some kind of exchange happening. So fine, in a financial system, basically this system would allow you to exchange funds, that is funds which are between either the financial market participants, that is the lenders, investors, to the borrowers. So this system basically be focusing on would be focusing on the exchange of funds between different parties. Now when we say financial system, whether it only operates on a national level or a global level, it operates on both the levels, that is national as well as the international level. So you can say these systems basically they operate on both national and global levels. Now moving on, let's see, you could see over here a picture wherein a financial system has been depicted. Now if you see, on one side you could see the lenders, on the another side you could see the borrowers. Now who are lenders? Now people who are having surplus of funds or money, and they don't want to keep it with themselves, but rather they want to invest it with someone else. So in that case, these are people, lenders are people who have surplus amount of money. Now where do they put their money in? Now they would they would put their money in with the financial intermediaries. Now what do these financial intermediaries do with that money? Now these financial intermediaries in turn would lend it to all those people who need this money. For example, there might be corporates, there might be some business houses, there might be some entrepreneurs or individuals who need this money. Now, there is an obvious reason why a corporate would need a money, because they want to run their business. So, in order to fulfill the demands of the business, it's not every time, it won't happen that the corporates have enough of funds with them. So in order to get those funds, or to get that money and run the show, they go to the financial intermediaries and they would ask for money. Okay, now financial intermediary, whatever funds they have, they would be putting it forward to the borrowers. Now if the borrower says I want 1 lakh of rupees, the financial intermediary will check whether from the lender he has got enough of money, and if yes, if it has, for example, if it has 10 lakhs of rupees, and if he takes and if the borrower comes and asks, oh, 1 lakh of rupees I want to run my business, so in that case the financial intermediary will be very happy to give that 1 lakh, because he has sufficient, or the intermediary has sufficient amount rested with him by the lenders. Now what is a benefit to the lender or the borrower as such? So the benefit to the lender or the borrower lender is that he, whatever he is lending to the financial intermediary, against that the lender is getting interest. So every month the lender would be getting certain interest paid on whatever funds he has been depositing with the financial intermediary. Another aspect, now how it is beneficial to the borrower. Naturally it is beneficial because the borrower would be using these funds for further developing his business, for either expansion purposes, for either purchasing the machineries to expand again his business house. So in that way, the borrowers would be also benefited as well as the lenders would be benefited. So whatever I am showing right now, where the lender is providing the money to the financial intermediary and the financial intermediary is providing money to the borrower, this is called as the indirect method of financing. Okay, it is called as an indirect method of financing. So directly borrower is not going to the lender and asking for money, neither the lender is directly going to the borrower and saying, oh, I have enough of money, please take it. So whatever transaction, financial transaction has been happening, it is through that financial intermediary. And so it is called as an indirect financing method. We are later in the chapter going to look as in what is direct financing. It is a little bit different than how it happens in the indirect financing method. Now let's move on to the next slide. Let's understand this financial system in a better way. Now, financial system, as you could see, it performs the essential economic function. Now, what kind of economic function does it does? Basically, it channelizes funds. Now, from whom does it channelizes? From those who are net savers. So people like you and me, or households who have enough of money, they could basically channelize these funds and put their funds in the financial system. Now, there are people who are savers of money. They don't spend more on their daily necessities or say on luxury items. Rather, they prefer to save their income and to or to use this income in a better manner. Now, a financial system can't be completed only with savers. So we need to channelize whatever funds we have from the savers to all those who are the net spenders. So we are channelizing the funds from the net savers to the net spenders. Now, who are net spenders? Basically, these are people who wish to spend or invest more than their income. For example, business houses. For example, Tata or Reliance, if you could recently see what Reliance Jio is into or what kind of plans it has. So it needs more money for investment purposes. Now, from where it is going to get money? Obviously, from households, from investors who are going to invest in such kind of activities wherein they see that in future they are going to get money out of those activities which this net spenders are going to do. So a financial system cannot work without channelizing the funds. So a basic requirement is funds have to be there. There have to be a category of net savers who give this money, and there have to be a category of net spenders who spend this money and earn income on that. Okay, and gradually they would percolate the same income to the net savers. So it is benefiting both the parties. Now this is how a financial system works. So it allows net savers to lend funds to net spenders, as you could see. Now let's understand the flow through the financial system. We have already seen the flow, how it happens in an indirect finance, the method of indirect finance. So over here you could see there is a category which is written as lender or savers. Now who all come into that? Households, business firm can be also a saver, governments could also be a saver, foreigners could be a saver. These all give funds to financial intermediaries, and these funds are then transferred to or given for usage purpose to borrowers or spenders. Now, who are this? Again, this could be individuals, this could be households, this could be foreigners, this could be government, or this could be business firms. So anybody could require money, and accordingly, as per the requirements, people go to financial intermediaries and try to get the loan. Again, I would like to quote an example over here in case of indirect finance. If XYZ requires a loan for education, okay, now XYZ requires loan for education. The person tries to apply for a loan to the bank. Now, bank is what? It is a financial intermediary. And who is going to use this? XYZ. For what purpose? For education purpose. So XYZ becomes over here a spender. Okay, he becomes a spender. He doesn't have money, but he has to go to the financial intermediary and ask for money. So he becomes a spender. Now, from whom will financial intermediary take the money and give to the spender? So it could be any household who has kept a say a fixed deposit. People like you and me go to the banks, keep the fixed deposit, some amount with the bank, and in return get certain interest. So I, for example, have deposited some cash amount, as in I have converted into an FD and kept it with the financial intermediary. So these funds basically would be utilized by the financial intermediary and given to the spender. Now, if the financial intermediary is giving me 5% interest rate, okay, on whatever I have kept as an FD, it is a simple logic that from a spender, it would ask for more. So 5%, if the financial intermediary is giving me, maybe the financial intermediary may be charging to the spender a interest rate of 8%. So whatever the gap is between 8% and 5%, that is a gap of 3%, that would be taken as a profit for the financial intermediary. So even if you look, all are gaining or all are benefiting out of one way, in one way or another. Okay, so this is how the indirect finance works. Now then there is another aspect to the flow of funds, and that is called as direct finance. Now what happens in direct finance? Instead of going to financial intermediary, the lenders go to financial markets. They put their money, or they try to invest in these financial markets by purchasing certain instruments. And after purchasing, these funds would go to the borrowers or spenders. So this is how the direct finance works. Instead of financial intermediaries, now there are financial markets wherein the borrower direct gets money through the financial markets, and the lenders can invest their money into the financial markets. So this is how the direct finance happens. So this is a flow of your financial system. The next aspect that we are going to talk on is functions of financial system. Now over here on the screen, you could see 8 different functions of financial system. The first function is called as a saving function. Then we could see liquidity function, payment function, risk function, information function, transfer function, reformatory, and other functions. Now let's understand what these functions are all about and what exactly a financial system does in such functions. Okay, so the first function, as I said earlier, was savings function. As if you go through any of the meanings or the definitions of financial system, you will understand that it talks about net savers and net borrowers. Okay, so saving basically is a primitive or prime function of a financial system. If saving doesn't happen, then a financial system can't work. So saving basically talks on saving of money, saving of funds, so that these funds could be channelized to those who require those funds. So that is about saving function. The second function is called as a liquidity function. Now liquidity function talks about converting any asset or anything which you have either into money or cash. So it should be highly liquid. Okay, so even a financial system talks about keeping the assets liquid so that maximum transactions could happen. Okay, so liquidity again is an important aspect or function of financial system. If there is no liquidity in the market, there would be no circulation of money. So remember that liquidity is also an important function of financial system. The next function is called as a payment function. Now we know we have been using credit cards, okay, or we have been using debit cards, we have been using checks. Now what are these? These are all modes of payment. So your financial system also allows payment, and payment through various modes. Now earlier, if you see the history, you could see that there was barter system, or you could see that maximum transactions would happen either through cash. There was very little usage of checks. Later on, when people understood the importance of checks, they started using checks. Then subsequently, DDs came into picture, that is demand drafts. And then later on, to make it more cost friendly, or rather economic, or to make it more of friendly kind of transaction or faster transaction, what happened? The payment modes got into an innovative mode, and you could see that now you could either transfer the money through RTGS, through NEFT, or through your credit cards. We have in the recent times also seen apps doing such kind of transactions like Google Pays, Bheem app. What are these? These are actually the modes that have been incorporated by the government of India into our financial system. Okay, so that is the payment function, which has made smoother and smoother every day. Reason being, there are two basic reasons. The first one is cost, and the second one is faster transaction. So these are basically the highlights of payment function. The next one is risk function. Now see, in a financial system, there is going to be a risk. Okay, now what kind of risk? There could be a life risk, there could be an investment risk. Okay, there could be a risk when you put your money into your intermediary. Okay, we have seen a lot many banks going bankrupt. Okay, so what are these are kind of risk which are associated with certain with financial instruments or transactions that happen in a financial system. Now, in order to face these risks, there is something called as insurance. Okay, so we are aware about life insurance or health insurance that we take. Okay, similarly, if it comes to banks, okay, and if some bank goes bankrupt, so in that case, again, there are certain insurance facilities which are given or recorded by the RBI and have to be accepted by certain banks. So this is what, in order to avoid certain risk into the financial markets or financial system, one more function that the financial system has to take care of is the risk function. So how much risk is involved, what kind of insurance you are giving to that risk, whether it is bearable or unbearable kind of risk, all these factors needs to be studied when you get into a financial system, before you get into a financial system. The next function is that of information. Now, when I say information, basically I mean passing of price related information to all the investors. I mean, for putting forward the information or not hiding the information from all those who are in connection or are getting connected to the financial system. So if I say BSE puts up that the market puts up certain information, okay, to the news reporters. Now, why do you think BSE is putting this? Because it wants the investor to know that such and such thing has happened in the market, and it wants to give a clarity and an openness to all the investors who are or stakeholders who are associated with the markets. Similarly, in a financial system, everything, every other information will be available to whosoever is connected into the financial system. If you go through the news, you will understand our finance minister is making certain or recording certain things on paper, saying that uh, the interest rates, how it would take a turn, or the loan, whatever interest you're paying on the loan or EMIs you're paying on the loan, how it is going to get affected. So all this information is available to you, and all this information basically is a important function of the financial system. Every time when an information comes, it has to be given to all those who are concerned with that information. The next is transfer. Now financial system, as in the payment function, I stated that you can do quick payments or easy payments to anyone. Okay, and you can use your debit card, your credit card, or you could use other apps as well. Similarly, in the transfer function, the financial system looks after transferring funds from one place to another. So there is no geographical boundary left. Okay, so transfer function basically is related with geographical transfers or transfer of funds from one location to another location. Then there is one more function of financial system, and that is reformatory. Now, what is a reformatory function? Reformatory basically is about putting in innovations as far as financial instruments are concerned, putting in innovations as far as new schemes or policies are concerned, putting forward by government either or by banks or financial institutions which are connected. So bringing on reforms in existing financial system by bringing in certain changes. So all those come under the reformatory function. So if I say bringing in the digital app of BHIM was a reformatory function which was taken care by the government of India. Okay, so that is how it works. So there are certain reformations which happen over a period of time. You can't go if you say we have been trading we have been transacting in cash, and now in 2020 also I want to transact in cash. Now that is not possible. Okay, so people will say, oh, you have become outdated because you don't even know how to use RTGS or NEFT. Okay, so you need to take care, or every financial system basically has reformations over a period of time. And so reformatory functions are concerned with different or various reformations that happen within the financial system. And now the last but not the least is other functions. Now what kind of other functions generally they go for? So financial system may provide you there might be certain functions like putting forward advisory services, or putting forward certain leasing kind of services. So such kind of services also become a function of your financial system. Now when you say uh, other functions, also one more thing, one more striking feature that I would say is about sometimes the companies, they are interested into going for certain projects. Okay, but they are not they do not know as in whether the project is very lucrative or not. So in that case, providing or putting forward the information in connection to whether the projects would be lucrative or not comes under other functions. Okay, so if I say we generally go and calculate the payback period. Okay, for to understand whether the project is good or bad. So in that case, we can go for other functions. So that is a part of other functions in a financial system. The next is, let's understand the importance of financial system. So now that you have understood what is a financial system, how it works, let's understand the importance of financial system. So basically this system plays a critical role in the economy. How it plays? Because it does a financial intermediation and allows the flow of fund from the savers to the borrowers. It also tries to ensure that these resources are allocated efficiently and they are directed towards the economic growth and development of the country. So these become a point of importance of why a financial system should be there in every country, or should be there uh, as far as a nation is concerned. Next is to facilitate economic or industrial activity and growth. As we have seen in the previous slides, we saw that if it is indirect financing or a direct financing also, it is contributing towards a certain industrial activity and certain growth aspects. So the financial system in a country would provide growth in industrial activities. So either it may be in form of expansion, either it may be in form of bringing new products or new services to the market. So anything of such thing could be activating growth within the system. Next is it will help accelerate the volume and rate of savings. Definitely, if I am getting a good return on whatever I am investing in the markets or whatever I am investing with the financial intermediary, if I am getting a good rate of return, I will try to curb my expenses and try to save more. So with this, the financial system basically would help accelerate the volume and rate of savings in any country. Now it will also monitor the management of companies, that is corporate sectors. When I said there are financial intermediaries, when I said there are financial markets, similarly, we are going to touch upon in the next session about something about financial regulators. So these regulators would try in a financial system to keep the system run smoothly. These regulators would manage and monitor on a regular basis all those companies who are the net borrowers. Okay, now why it is needed? Because any net saver would not like his money to be given in those hands wherein again no returns are going, wherein he expects that this XYZ company is going to get bankrupt. So in that case, there has to be certain regulators who monitor such kind of management of the companies that are borrowing the money or fund from the markets. It also facilitates execution of monetary policy by the central bank. So we have seen repo rates, we have seen CRR, SLR last semester. So all these monetary policy decisions which are taken by the central bank are to be executed through this financial system. It also helps in evaluation of assets to all those who are borrowing the money, and it helps them to check whether they would be able to repay the money back to all the savers from whom they have got that money for using uh, in their regular day-to-day business, or either using it for their growth purpose. So this is about the importance of your financial system. With this, I'll stop here and I'll take the doubts, whatever are there. We'll have a question answer session now. Thank you very much for patiently listening to the session. Okay, now I would request one by one students, if they have any doubts, they can just ask me the doubts.